Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Strike Zone with St. Paul Saints Manager George Tsamis. Strike Zone is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the St. Paul skipper questions about the Saints, baseball or sports in general, or just seek George's wisdom about life events that may be going on. And this week we have an exciting program for you as George shares his enthusiasm about his beloved Minnesota Vikings. He talks to us about strategies for building his team this offseason, and he discusses some other baseball and football news that's going out there. So let's get right to Strike Zone. So let us welcome back Manager George Tsamis this week. George, first of all, let's just begin with some team updates that you have for us this week.
Yeah, it's just the other day we had sent Ryan Lashley over to New Jersey. We owed them a player for Anthony Phillips, so they had a need for a second baseman or third baseman, and so it just worked out where we sent him over there, and it's good for him. He'll get the opportunity to maybe play a little bit more over there, and he's a good little hitter. So I hope it works out for him.
Well, that'd be a nice addition for him because he sure hit well for you guys down the end of the stretch last season.
Yeah, I tell you what, yeah, he swung the bat very well for us, and so it's just I don't know, with the way things are coming into play for us, we just weren't sure if we'd have a spot just because of we currently don't have any rookies on our roster, and so we just thought it was best just to move on and get them a job in a good spot.
And how many rookies are you required to have by league rules?
Well, since they expanded the roster to 23 players, we have to have 5 rookies, and we currently don't have any. So we're going to have to, obviously get some, and you're just not sure how it plays out. If your utility guy is a rookie, if a couple pitchers, a backup catcher. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be it'll be tough to find them, but we will.
No doubt about that. That's a great skill of George Tsamis, is finding how to fill that roster up well.
Yeah.
Before we get to our fan questions this week, we obviously want to have a George Tsamis Minnesota Viking update. So let's start with that.
Okay. Well, I was at the Vikings game last night, and for first 3 quarters of the game I was at, because it was so cold there, I just couldn't take it anymore, and that was one exciting game for the Vikings. They played so well, and and once again, as we discussed, defense is so nasty, and it was great. It's the first time I've been to that stadium there, and it was the fans were like standing up the whole game. It was something that there was really nobody sitting down, so the fans were standing up. So I guess I was standing up. And again, they played so well, and but again, it was after they got the big lead, it was tough to stay warm, and so it was just it was a good one for them.
Well, I was just going to say, were they afraid to sit down because the seats were metal, and they thought if they sat down they'd never get up again, or?
I don't know, but I think because they were so into the game, and they were into it, excited, loud, and Sunday night game, and it was a great win, and now that their next week's game is for the division title, I guess that got flexed to next Sunday night too. So that'll be another exciting cold game, and hopefully the Vikings can pull it out.
Boy, that should be the game of the year for sure.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
Heading into our fan questions this week, we first of all begin with Craig from St. Paul, who'd like to know. He remembered you saying last year you wanted to add some more speed to your team, so you went out and brought in guys like Argo and Harris. Do you have a different focus of what you were looking to add to this year's team?
You know what? All the years I've been doing this, you try to find the best available players, and you go after what you think the best fit. And you know what? Having those guys out in the outfield, as quick as they are and as good as outfitters they were, and having those fast guys out there, maybe that's something we should, try a little bit harder to get those guys in there. And I feel our outfitters last year with Argo, Harris, and Plesnick, I think they were as good as anybody, and defensively too. Again, that doesn't show up in the box scores, but you saw them all play, and so good to have good fast outfitters. And so you know what, it's something that we're gonna hope to continue to do and have those fast guys. But again, though, obviously it's nice to have guys who can hit the ball out of the park as well. So So we will. Argo's going to be the left fielder. Alonzo's going to be the center fielder, and the right fielder. We're not sure yet. We'll see how that plays out.
I think something that people forget to mention too. I think those three guys had like 27 outfielder assists too. So they were.
All three of them were good, and even Kwasnick. I mean, he threw a couple guys out of first base on base hits. The right that obviously weren't base hits because he threw them out of first. So it was just a fun outfit to have all three of them, and you know what? It's good to have that good defense out there, and we're going to keep looking for it.
No doubt about it. Mary from Shoreville would like to know, what do you see as the direction for second and third base this season?
Those are still up in the air a little bit. We're not sure how the second base position is going to work out. I mean, we are going to bring Sam Moss back, and it looks like Ryan Cavan is going to come back as well, too, but I'm not sure if Ryan Cavan will be there for the beginning of the season. And all this is, it's not 100%. He's a teacher, and he coaches a high school team, so there's a chance he would have to be late for the season if that works out. But if we have Ryan Cavan back, that would be great. But if we have Sam Moss back, which looks like that's going to happen, I think he's a good little player, just had some injuries, and so I can see one of those two guys being the second baseman.
Is this a situation for Sam Moss that he's still technically a rookie because he's never had the 65 at-bats or whatever that was you were saying?
No, he had the at-bats.
So. Oh, he did? Okay.
It's too bad he had it. He's especially his first year, his first year he was good, and then he got hurt, and then last year I think he played, and it still bothered him, and obviously caught up to him, and so hopefully he can get help. Again, he's a good second baseman. He can turn double play good, and and again, the first year he was good, and the second year not so much. But then again, though, he was hurt, playing hurt.
Yeah, him and Anthony Phillips as a double play combination was just outstanding too.
Yeah, it's very good, and so again, we'll see what happens, and there's a chance, both of them will play, and again, I know it's so far away, and it's too bad that the season's still far away, but it'll play out good, and again, maybe we'll have both of them.
That'd be great if he stayed healthy, because otherwise Dan Kazrowski should never put his glove in the closet for very long there.
Yeah, we don't want to call Kaz again and get him out of retirement again.
Todd from Plymouth would like to know from you, when will player signings really start to pick up around the league as a whole?
Obviously the crazy time is in the end of March when the spring training all those releases. There's so many guys released then, and that's when it's real crazy. And in January too, I think some of the players that are minor league free agents that are not going to get signed, maybe they start realizing that they're not going to get signed by a major league club, and and again, you go after them. We try to get them. We're trying to get some minor league free agents now, but a lot of them aren't ready to sign. So hopefully in January here, some guys will look to. Here's the thing too. In the off season, if we sign a minor league free agent, and a major league club decides they want them, anytime before our season starts, if a major league club wanted them, they don't have to purchase them. They can just be free to go to a major league club. So there's really no risk to the players to sign, but that's just the way they feel at this time. And so, hopefully in January here, some of these guys start rolling in here.
Our next question comes from Calvin from Minneapolis, who'd like to know, how do you handle players that can be a handful? What is the tipping point where talent does not make up for character?
It's I think this past year we were fortunate to have the good guys and guys that were there for the right reasons, but that's not the case every year, and sometimes you don't get the best guys, and you may get some more talented guys, but you want the right guys, and I don't know, in the past, especially now when we have that beautiful new stadium and more guys seem to want to come, maybe we can be a little more picky about who we bring in, and that's something that we really are focusing on, trying to get the right character guys. And you know what? I'm sure we watch some of these baseball games in the big leagues and some of these NFL games, and I'm sure sometimes we see the way some of these players behave, and you know what? Is it really worth it? Do you really want some of these guys? And I don't. So, you know, hopefully we can bring the right guys in.
Is that a situation, and I don't know if you've ever had this happen, so I'm just kind of asking, is it a situation where if guys in your locker room came to you and just said, George, this guy just isn't fitting here, is that really kind of a point that you would say to yourself, okay, this guy's got to go?
You know what? That's happened. I've been doing this for a long time. That's happened several times where guys just can't take guys anymore. And again, you don't say, well, right when you hear that for the first time, then you get rid of the guy. Like, you try to work it out. You try to make it the best situation, but there's times it's just too much, and you just got to move on from the player. It's just, and you can talk to him. You can try to handle it in different ways. Be nice to him, talk to him, get on him a little bit, and be a little tough on him. And sometimes none of them seem to work. And if sometimes maybe it's the player. It's just not the good fit, and and maybe they've been released from an organization for that reason. Because players would be surprised that some players that are not released from organizations because they're not good. They're released from organizations because of who they are. And it's if you're going to be a questionable character guy, you better be a really talented player. And if you're a borderline talented player, they find ways to ship you out.
I can believe that.
Yeah, the players don't really they don't really realize this. They don't see it that way. But when you call on players, you get some honest reports, and some of them aren't. They're honest reports, and some of them aren't very favorable for the player's character. I say he's talented, but you don't want this guy. Trust me, I've heard that several times.
I think you've talked to us quite a bit about the fact of, a guy may have been a superstar in high school and a superstar in college and a superstar in single A or double A, but when you're starting to reach this level, I mean, there's 22 superstars on the roster if you really get down to it, and if a guy thinks that his talent is everything but his character isn't, it doesn't matter, there's 21 other guys I would assume would disagree.
Yeah, again, the behind-the-scenes thing that people don't hear about, they never know about. It happens more than you think, and you want the guys that are there for the right reasons, the guys that'll work. And there was a year, and I won't even say for the players, but there was a year we had a guy that was a decent hitter, and but he was a decent hitter, but didn't really. I think he just settled for being decent, and he could have been great. And in the outfield, he had some talent, had a good arm, but didn't really want to work at it. Didn't want to take balls off the batting practice. And just did not want to work at the best he could be. And he ended up being a decent player, but then a year went by, and the player wanted to come back the next season, and we didn't want the player back because he didn't want to work hard enough. And they just don't realize it. We want the players that are there for the right reasons and want to be great, not just happy to have a uniform on. And there's too much of players who are just happy to have a uniform on, and it's surprising. It's more than you think, and but you want to have guys with the right attitude, and you want guys that want to be great.
Absolutely. We have a couple of questions for you from Lucy from Cottage Grove. The first one is, when you are teaching these camps, what do you try to make as the focus of what you are taught, or what is taught? Is it more fundamentals-based, or do you focus on specific aspects of playing baseball?
We try to cover as much as we can, and maybe some of the things we cover aren't as popular to the kids that come in, because, you have some kids that are maybe 6 years old and some that are 12 years old, and some, want to pay attention more than others, but we try to cover everything from pitching to fielding to even bunting, for example. We did that today, and it's just like, that's not the most popular thing, for somebody to hear, but you want to teach them the right way, and, and you want them to learn it the right way, and we try to cover that. And obviously everybody wants to hit, and we do that a lot, but we just try to cover as many different topics as you can, and you hope you can teach them, the right way, and have them do it the right way. And again, it's just you want them to have fun while they're there, but obviously you want them to learn a few things as well.
Lucy would also like to know, the skills that you teach, would they be something that'd be beneficial for someone who was playing softball?
Yeah, you know what? I think so, and obviously the softball pitching, my daughter's a softball pitcher, and I couldn't tell you anything about that. That's something that she took lessons, and that's something that I couldn't help. But the other aspects of it, I think so, and the hitting and the fielding and how to do things the right way, I think it relates to both.
Okay, excellent. Tammy from St. Paul would first like to wish you and myself Happy New Year. But then she says, when you're out on the road, what kinds of things do you do when you are not at the stadium? I would think there is only so much to see in places like Sioux Falls or Amarillo.
You know what? It's on the road. And again, I think I've told you, I'm not the most exciting person out there, but you usually get to the field 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever it is, and after the games, you're out there at 11 o'clock, and it's just you're there to play baseball. You're there to you're there to you're really not there to go sightseeing and do other stuff. Some cities are better than others, and but it's just for me personally, it's just more. I go to work, and then at the end of the night, I just go home and watch a little TV and go to bed, and then do it all over again.
Miguel from Minneapolis would like to know from you, do you see baseball as ever having the same kind of world appeal that soccer does?
Yeah, soccer seems to be pretty popular all over the world, huh?
Yes, I would say.
Baseball too, though, in a lot of places too, and and Cuba and Mexico, Japan, whatever, Taiwan, Korea. It's good. Baseball's a great sport. It's maybe times it's a little bit slower than sports like football, but I think baseball is fine, and people keep coming out, and you just want a pitcher that works quick and throws strikes, and we don't like the walks or slows the game down. We want to keep people interested, so just try to keep it exciting and just make sure you have those guys throwing strikes and working quick.
When I read this question, I thought to myself, now when you and I were kids, because we're about the same age, there was a Japanese league, but none of those guys ever came to the major leagues, and I don't remember South Korean leagues, Australian leagues. Maybe they existed, but I never really heard of them. So now, Anthony Phillips came from South Africa to play baseball. Yeah.
Maybe it's picking up a little bit, and they're from all over the world, and even when I played, when I was younger, and obviously, I was lucky enough to get a chance to play in the Little League World Series, and we played Taiwan, and obviously Taiwan, baseball is plenty popular all over, and so hopefully we can keep it that way for a long time.
Absolutely. It's a great sport. Trent from Minneapolis would like to ask of you, what do you think about the way teams hire new managers? There are so many good young coaches out there that would be great skippers, but a guy like Don Mattingly gets the job in Miami. Then there's a guy like Matt Williams who failed miserably. Do you favor experience or new blood?
That's a tough question right there, because it's more personal preference, and some guys like to go with the experienced guys, some guys like to go with the as we put it, the new blood. So personal preference, and I think Don Mattingly is a good choice, and I think he'll do fine there. And again, with that situation he had with the Dodgers, you really just don't know what's going on inside the clubhouse, and I guess there were some problems there, and you just don't know if it's the players or the manager. And Don Mattingly, I just remember him as one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. So I don't think he's turned into a dumb guy and a dumb manager. I think he's good, and he knows what he's doing, and so again, I think them hiring him was a good choice.
Adam from Rush City would like to know from you, what do you think is the greatest baseball record?
Tell you what, there's so many of them. The one that Cal Ripken won, that streak of playing all those games over and over every day, and you would think something would happen where he would had some kind of injury, and that's the toughest one to me. It's to play all those games. I know Brett Favre had that streak too in the NFL where he played all those games in a row too. That's unheard of to not have that major injury where you just kept playing over and over and over. So for me, those games played are something else.
Absolutely. I mean, just thinking about just 162 days in the hot sun, you would think at some point you just be like, I need a day off.
Yeah, injury, and like I'm sure all of us, we all miss a day here and there when we're sick at work. So that is something else to be able to do that.
I completely agree with you on that one. Heading to our football questions this week, Lou from St. Paul would like to know, do you think the Packers have enough to beat the Vikings next weekend?
I don't think we can be surprised on whoever wins that game. I know the Packers beat them earlier in the year and played better, but you just don't know. I mean, look what happened yesterday. Steelers lost to the Ravens. The Seahawks lost to the Rams. And the Patriots lost to the Jets, but, the Jets are pretty good, too. So I think that was, that's just one good team beating another good team. And, you just watching these games long enough, you just don't know. You can't be surprised on who wins these days. Look what happened to the Packers yesterday. I mean, Arizona absolutely destroyed them, and then the Vikings went out and destroyed the Giants. So right now the Vikings seem to be playing a little bit better. So I hopefully they can pull it out. But whoever wins, we've been talking about this one all year too. This last game, and it got flexed to the Sunday night game, and so it's an exciting thing to have this come down to the final game and the night game and see who wins that division.
Benny from Minneapolis asks of you, being a big Patriots fan as you are, were you glad that Carolina was not able to go 16-0 in the regular season?
No, you know what? I think it would have been great to see a team run the table and go undefeated, and so obviously they didn't. And I guess the Dolphins are safe for another year.
Yes, they are. Andrew from Duluth, also asking about the Patriots, would like to know, don't you think that coin flip deal in the Patriots game is being overblown?
I don't understand. I just don't understand that one. I don't understand why they wouldn't take the ball. And at first, when I saw it, I thought maybe that the player made a mistake. But it from watching today, it appears that it wasn't a mistake. So I don't know if you can help me with that. And obviously, they have, to me, the greatest coach in NFL history. But I don't understand what the benefit is of not taking the ball. And I don't know if anybody does. I could see if it was a real strong wind or something. Okay, maybe you want to win, but it wasn't. So maybe you can help me on that one. I don't have an answer for that one.
I don't know, because it as much as I look at games like that, and I think to myself, that's Bill Belichick making a decision. So, he's got 4 more Super Bowl rings than I'll ever imagine having, and so it's hard to even question decisions he's making. But I don't know. I don't see the logic personally myself, but he must have had it. So.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that one. I don't know.
I could see where his player made a mistake, and being the stand-up guy that he is, he took responsibility for it. I planned that. So.
You know what? That happens a lot too. Maybe the player made a mistake, and he took it for the player. Who knows? And there's so many things out there that it's just the fans will never know the reasons why certain teams do this and certain coaches do this, because they do cover the player, and maybe that's what happened too. But that's something we'll probably never know.
Could be true. Our next question is Mike from St. Paul, who wishes Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to us. What coaches in the NFL do you think will be fired?
I don't ever want to see anybody fired, so I don't know, and I hope none of them, and that's something that I wouldn't wish on anybody. So, but I guess that's part of the business, and I guess it's going to happen to a few people, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Steve from Richfield would like to ask, do you have a pick for the national champion in college football?
I don't follow that closely, so it seems like Alabama is always around, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
It seems like they're like the Cardinals and baseball and the Patriots in football, and but I really don't know, and but it'd be nice to see the undefeated team win it. You know, maybe that would be best for the sport if the undefeated team can just run the table.
Carl from New Ulm would like to know, who are you most surprised by? The Washington Redskins winning the NFC East or the Houston Texans winning the AFC South?
I think we're going to have to go with the Redskins on that one. I don't think anybody picked that one, and the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, is nobody expected, what he's doing, especially the first half of the season. He was okay at best, and he's really turned it on. So that's something that I don't think anybody expected.
They were 1-5 at one point or something like that, weren't they?
Yeah, it's they've turned it around, and it's good for them, and it's it's something new though. It's a new thing, and it's good to see new teams in there once in a while.
Speaking of a new team doing a team kind of on the rise here, with Kansas City playing as well as they are, that'd be great if you and Kevin Hooper could be battling over the Vikings and Chiefs too. That would be
nice. And our pitching coach Trey Ledenberg loves the Chiefs too, so he's happy with that. And so yeah, it's the Chiefs are playing great, and the defense is playing great. So a team with a great defense, you can't be surprised if they go a long way.
Absolutely. Our last question for you is from Chris from Topeka, who says, my wife bought me one of those new smartwatches for Christmas. I have to tell you that I feel pretty stupid talking into my wrist. She says I am being too sensitive. What do you think?
I don't know much about them, so I think the answer to that one is, I can agree with them on that one. So it's I have not seen one and don't have one, so I'd probably be the wrong guy to ask on that one.
Well, thanks for joining us this week, George.
All right, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to everyone, and hopefully the Vikings can pull it out on next Sunday night, and we can be talking about it on Monday.
That sounds great. We want to thank Manager George Tsamis for joining us on Strike Zone this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the St. Paul Saints skipper, please send them to us at AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsupport.com. That's AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsupport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give the skipper a little time to review them before we record the show on Monday. I want to thank you for joining us this week on Strike Zone. We hope you have a blessed and happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you next year on Strike Zone.